Welcome to Spirits Podcast, a boozy dive into mythology, legends, and folklore. Every week we pour a drink and learn about a new story from around the world. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Julia.
And I'm Eric.
And this is episode 331, another installment of your Urban Legends.
Bang, bang. We are coming to you live, recorded, and just me.
Live to tape. Mm-hmm.
From the room I've been stuck in for some time now. Kelsey is currently sick with a cough. She's not like sick. She just has a cough that particularly gets up to trouble in the night.
Oh, yeah.
And then we also have Herbie, who, because he's on a lot of steroids still, needs to go out. So I have been just hanging out in the office. So we got me and Herb. I stay up a little bit later, take him out so he doesn't have to go out in the middle of the night. Doesn't always work, but sometimes does. So like this is my space. And it is being haunted by me now.
Not just the ghost that lives in your attic.
Yes, not just the ghost.
Really?
Yeah, I am the one just haunting this very specific room.
Well, now that you are in the room that we have seen the most ghost sightings in, and by that your chair moved that one time.
One time a chair moved, one time a door opened.
Ooh, yes, I forgot about the door opening.
The two things you need.
Can't sleep on the door.
You can't sleep on the door. I sleep on the futon. It's right here, Amanda.
Yes.
Now, my question is, how has the ghost been as a roommate in the situation that you are currently living in?
Well, the ghost has been fine since it's non-existent. Herbie has taken to, in his later years, nesting a lot more. He really has been going at making a nest with his tan blanket here that's on the bed for like minutes at a time, which is a big uptick from him. Usually he's just like, I will sleep wherever. But now he's a big nester.
Like many of us, he comes to appreciate, the finer things, the creature comforts, and making sure his environment suits him, which I think, frankly, is icon behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so as well. But yeah, nothing spooky has happened here. I do sleep with that headband headphones on, and I listen to some ASMR videos while I sleep.
Nice.
And sometimes there will be a sound in those that I think is a sound from outside. And that does throw me for a loop sometimes. But like that's going to happen when you're just listening to an hour and 40-minute video of someone tapping on wood.
Yeah, that will do it. Can I ask a question about the headband headphones?
Yeah.
Are they comfortable when you're a side sleeper? Because I have yet to find...
Yeah, see, I'll show you.
Yes, please. I know this is like a plug for not a product that sponsors us, not SponCon.
Well, this is definitely not a plug. These are, as an audio engineer, the worst audio experience I could possibly. I gave them, I think 4 or 3 stars on Amazon because the batteries like fade very quickly. Probably because I kill them like literally every 2 nights.
Yeah.
I have 2 pairs, so that one's always charged.
Smart.
They're nice and sleek.
Oh, it looks like a workout headband, like kind of a micromodal fabric. They're nice.
They do show on Amazon that they can be worked out in. If I saw someone at the gym wearing this, I would beat them up. So don't do that.
It's a wide headband.
It's very big. It also keeps my head nice and warm now that I'm bald. So it's not a hat, but it does weirdly keep me a lot warmer. But I think sometimes those videos that I'm listening to do have like some random sound of like, what is that? And it's always, I take off the headband just to check. Maybe it is a ghost, and it isn't. It just simply has never been, and I've never heard the sound with the headband on, unless the headbands are haunted.
Can I suggest another theory? I like the idea that the headbands are haunted, and now I'm not going to purchase them. But my other theory might be what you're hearing is the ghost in the recording of the ASMR video, and the person who's doing the ASMR is in fact haunted.
It's good, Julia. That's good.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of spooky ASMR. I don't listen to some of the spooky ASMR. Here's the thing, if you watch too much ASMR on YouTube, the recommendations start to get very weird. And we've talked about this before about horny ASMR that
Yeah.
No thank
Listen,
you.
Boring. We all know about that. Come on.
Yeah, but then there's just like weirder ones that are like I can't even begin to describe them. Not because they're like lewd or anything, but like they just get too niche and too specific where it's like, it feels like someone requested this from you and you've just sent it to everybody instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm into it.
I mean, listen, a mass BCC ain't a bad thing. If you do you have like favorites you return to, or you try to get some variety? Because for me, I tend to listen to podcasts that I'm like medium interested in, because it's enough for my brain to be a little bit listening to it instead of my own anxious thoughts, but then not enough to keep me up, you know?
Yeah, I've got a few standard people I go to, and then every so often I just search ASMR sleep. And
nice.
Sometimes it just will throw out someone like in creepy clown makeup doing like falling asleep at the carnival, but also it's weird. And I was like, no, thank you. That's too strange. That's too strange.
It's my nightmare. What you just described is my nightmare.
Yeah. So there's a wide range, but yeah, I used to like ones where it was someone talking, but there's a channel called ASMR Bakery that has nice. As I said, 100 like minute long video of someone just tapping on a varieties of different woods, and it is choice because you're definitely asleep by the end of that video, and it is chill. We are talked now for almost 5 minutes about ASMR, so I'm gonna read a story instead of continuing on this path. We'll link some of my favorite channels in the Patreon extras, which you can get for $4 a month.
Great.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
So this first story comes to us from Angelica, and she writes, "My parents, very creepy, uninvited house guest."
Uh-oh.
All right.
Now, I picked this quite a while ago, and then we just haven't had time for me to read a story on recent episodes and bonus episodes over on the Patreon, so I don't remember any of the context of this, so I'm excited to read it.
Ideal, baby. That's podcasting.
We're going to discover it all together. Let's go.
Okay, it's from Quebec, so I'm, as you know,
French,
bad at pronouncing any foreign words. Got to know. We're going to say
Sounds
that.
French.
We're going to say Gatineau.
Start.
Gatineau, Quebec, Canada.
Great.
I really enjoy spirits, and it has gotten me through many long drives to and from gigs. I wanted to write to you because I have a ghost encounter that might interest you.
All ghost encounters interest us.
Also, I want to know what kind of gigs they do. You know, is it band gigs?
I mean, we might find out.
Ooh, that's true. Okay.
Hell yeah. Eric doesn't know, so we're just going to find out together.
I don't know what I'm about to read. Mostly words. Hopefully not many more French words. For most of my life, I thought I just had an overactive imagination and sleep paralysis, but recent happenings have changed my mind. The first encounter I can recall with the house ghost was when I was 3 to 4 years old, and I started having recurring nightmares. Or at least that's what my parents reassured me they were. I would wake up in my bed in the middle of the night and turn over towards my door. Every time I would see a tall, indistinct shadow profiled in the dim light of the hallway nightlight. I wanted to scream but couldn't, and I would try to hide in my blankets. Unfortunately, I would unerringly find myself completely incapable of moving as it crept closer and closer until it was right by my bedside. Now that I don't like, because the shadow people are usually like there and then gone, or the sleep paralysis demons I feel like are like, it just stood there at the bottom of my bed. The approaching is bad.
Yeah, no. You don't want it to move. You don't want it to move.
You don't want it to move.
You don't want it to move.
But it moved.
A pale hand.
Oh, absolutely not.
Two textures here, two colors. I don't think so, baby.
One.
Nope.
Monochromatic ghosts, much easier to deal with.
So this pale hand would reach up the side of my bed and would simply wait near the bedside light switch for me to try and turn it on. That's the worst part. It's like you know what you have to do to I'm going to make the room bright, and there's just a hand there.
It's a hard no. It's a hard no.
I also need us to understand that this is a tall figure, but the hand has to come up from below the bed, which means the arms are very long. The proportions are not right. I don't like it.
Julia, you are so right, and it is so wrong.
I would eventually fall back asleep from exhaustion.
Oh no.
That's a bad way for this to resolve itself, I'll be honest.
Yep.
This went on periodically for another, how many years do you want to think? So Angelica was 3 to 4 years old. How long do you think this persisted for?
10 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 8. I think 11 and 12 is an age when your hauntings, like your body, start to change.
This went on periodically for another 16 to 17 years.
I was going to say 15. I was like, they're probably like 18 or 19 when it stopped. I don't know.
Into their late teens, early 20s.
Absolutely not.
Hey, listen, Angelica, you're a fucking hero. You are so brave. You are so brave to keep sleeping and waking under these circumstances.
At least it was only periodically. So,
yes.
I mean, maybe, hopefully business periodically. So only 4 times a year.
If this was every night, I'd be like, my nighttime haunting. Here we are. Mm-hmm. Periodically, the worst.
Yeah. You can't expect it. That's the problem.
Yes.
I see. Yeah. So I will say that the sentence ends with when they finally moved away for university. So this was a specific to house ghost.
If it were me, I would have emancipated. I would have set a house fire. I would have told one of my friends that I simply can't sleep at home anymore. I would have become one of those Victorian garden hermits and gotten child wages to go live in someone else's garden shed.
Amanda's going to be on the front page of the New York Post. Woke child divorces parents over
burns down house.
Yes.
I just want to quickly go back to the idea which Eric described where the haunting is quarterly, is in every 3 months. And I feel like we skipped over that.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to appreciate that, Eric. I didn't want to skip over it.
I'm sorry. I totally missed that, thinking about my own child hermit emancipation.
No, you're good.
Incredibly good.
So we've got a couple more stories here from Angelica.
Ooh. Okay.
As a young teenager, I became convinced that I had sleep paralysis, and then I kind of got used to the occasional terror-filled night. However, when my sister and I started looking more like women than kids, things changed. A haunting of
what
puberty.
What did I say?
No.
What did I say?
We would sometimes feel a presence watching us or hear breathing when we were alone in the house.
My fingers are crossed for a protective ghost and not a creepy ghost.
Not a lecherous one. Yeah, we get enough sexual harassment on this plane.
Yeah, well, based on story 1, I mean, it might not be like a creepy in that way ghost, but it's probably going to lean more towards the creepy than a protective ghost.
All right, we'll allow it.
When I was 16, I was getting ready to get out of the bath while home alone. Okay, so I was wrong. I want to just acknowledge quickly that I was incorrect about the type of creepiness that the ghost would be.
Thank you.
I reached out of the shower curtain to pull it back, and my hand wrapped around a man's cold, hairy leg.
No. Angelica, simply no.
A pit formed in my stomach, and fear flowed through my veins.
I'll say.
I wanted nothing to do with the situation. I slowly let go, brought my arm back into the bathtub, and simply waited until I couldn't feel the presence anymore before trying to get out of the bath again. Just a hairy leg out there. It's a hairy, ghostly leg.
Oh, I don't think of ghosts as hairy very often, and I think this has opened up a new fear inside of me, and I don't appreciate it.
Hairy ghost.
Hairy ghost.
Hairy ghost is bad.
Yeah. This might be leading me to revise my opinion that smell is the worst sense to be haunted by. Maybe it's touch, if that touch is a hairy leg.
Yeah. Yep. No good.
Ugh.
So the final story, here we go. Hopefully less hairy legs involved, but no guarantees.
Please.
On several occasions, my sister tried to tell my parents about the hauntings, but they blamed our overactive imaginations. A classic parent move. I convinced myself that they were right until recently, when I moved into my first apartment. First of all, I haven't had sleep paralysis since I moved here. Furthermore, when my boyfriend and I went to visit my parents and we slept in their guest room, we heard breathing in a corner of the basement. We both played it off as a trick of the ventilation. However, he was also visited by the same dark being and pale hand and was caught in the same terrorizing immobility I had lived with for so long. He woke me up early in the morning after our first night there and told me about his terrifying ordeal. I was shocked. Thinking it was all very foolish, I had not told him about the dreams. To me, this confirmed the existence of my parents' very creepy, uninvited house guest. Stay creepy, stay cool, spirits crew. Hope this story gave you a chill. I would say so.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say.
Also, I just want to reiterate once again, if you were haunted as a child, you have to tell your future partner or spouse about that. It should be one of those conversations like, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Also, were you haunted as a child? Should I be concerned about that?
Exactly. What cultural and religious environment do we want to raise our children in if we have them? Do you have any debts that we should know about? What are your end-of-life plans and caregiving responsibilities? Are you a haunted child?
I need to know.
You might be indebted to the ghost with the pale hand.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally just talked about deals with the devils.
Right.
A few episodes ago. So, like, if you, unbeknown to you, might have made an unconscious deal with the devil, you have to acknowledge that.
You gotta know.
Now, guys, is it possible here that we are leaping to conclusions that the hand was trying to prevent Angelica from turning on that light? Is it possible the hand wanted something? And if so, what could it have been?
Amanda, I think if the hand wanted something, it would have been palm up like, gimme, gimme, and not palm down like, no, 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 don't touch.
That's true.
Universal sign for I would like something is palm out, gimme, gimme.
You're right.
Is it possible? Follow me on this one.
Uh-oh.
I'm with you.
The ghost needed a razor to shave its hairy leg.
Okay. Listen, I don't want to impose body standards imposed on us by the big razor, right?
Of course not.
But maybe it was itchy.
Maybe.
It was really feeling its femininity. Maybe like simply wanted it.
Yeah.
It's true. It's possible.
I mean, who knows?
I'll be thinking about this one when I take my nightly bath.
I do like that, like, genuinely, listeners, I did forget what this story was about. And I do like that the lead-in went from, here's how I get peaceful nights of sleep, to me telling one of the creepiest stories I think I've ever read on the podcast, at least for me. So I genuinely, purely accidental 1-2 punch with that intro and first story.
Yeah, you really did that to us.
That's an all-timer.
I have 2 stories sent in by Eric, he, him. The first one is called Something Slightly Off, and the second one is called Haunted Sea Captain's House. So how about I start us off with Something Slightly Off. We take our refill because we'll probably need it.
Yeah.
And then I come back with the Haunted Sea Captain's House.
I love it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Beautiful. So we're going to start off. Eric says, I am a longtime listener and have thought about writing in for some time, but finally decided to bite the bullet and do so when I heard the recent urban legends with Corinne. I grew up in and still live in the greater Portland area and decided to make my own meaning out of what the universe gives us by taking the fact that you have a guest who lives in my neck of the woods as a sign that I should write in. By the way, the full name of the cocktail bar that Corinne mentioned is the Bearded Ladies Jewel Box, which is a great name, which I thought y'all would enjoy. Also, they usually don't have food, but sometimes they bring in a panini press and will bootleg you some grilled cheese. Again, just fun facts for your entertainment. Also, mazel to Amanda on her recent conversion. I have 2 stories I would like to share with you today, both from when I was in high school.
Hell yeah, dude.
I just gotta say, bootleg grilled cheese is my new gamer tag.
Yeah.
Yay!
Changing my Tumblr account to bootleg grilled cheese. So let's start with Something Slightly Off. The first took place at my mom's house. My mom lives in a semi-rural, semi-suburban town outside of the city that is mostly planned developments from the late 80s to early 2000s, surrounded by trees, marsh, and other small farms. One summer night circa 2011, my mom was out of town and my sister was at my dad's, so I invited some friends over to have a fire and barbecue. The evening started off perfectly normal, with 4 of us cooking some food and having a beer or 2 around the fire. A few more friends were supposed to show up later around 10 p.m. My mom's house is a large colonial style built in the 90s with a front lawn about the size of the house's footprint and a backyard that is about 2 of the house in size. The fire pit is essentially centered in the backyard, which is surrounded by a thin line of trees on all sides, dividing it from its neighbors. The front lawn faces onto an open street. Already, I'm like, I'm concerned, but let's go.
Yeah, I'm also just like put off by the planned development suburban-ish vibe, which is just inherently creepy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, having a colonial that was built in 1990 throws me for a loop. So here we are.
We just got a plaque for our house.
I saw that. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And on the back it said, certified not haunted.
No, that's a lie.
No, Eric, it did not say that.
Man, if I could get the Historical Society to confirm the house isn't haunted, that would be a huge get for this podcast.
Yeah.
Eric, here's a little nugget for you, a little idea. Do with it what you will. Ready? You buy a Dremel. You carve on the back of your plaque, "Not haunted." Then you affix the plaque to your home.
Gotcha. I do need a Dremel for another thing, so this could just be added to my to-do list.
Yeah. And so then in the future, if and when somebody else buys the house or the Historical Society comes to, I don't know, upgrade your plaque, someone takes it off, turns it over. That's a future urban legend, baby.
There you go.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, you are truly living my dream by having a house that has a historic plaque on it, but I will not hold that against you.
When we were staying in Portland, Maine last summer, a bunch of houses in the neighborhood we were at had them on. And like literally we got when we got home, like we got a letter that's like, "Hey, your house is 100 years old. You could get a plaque." And then I didn't know Kelsey actually ordered the plaque because I was all for it. And she was like, "I don't know." And then she ordered it. I was like, "We got a plaque, baby."
I have to wait 28 years for my house to be 100 years old. So I'm living here super jealous.
Yeah.
So Eric continues. Around 9 p.m., we were chatting around the fire when we heard a voice coming from by the house. We turned around to see a figure standing in the side yard, a thin path between the side of the house and the trees. Everything about this gave a vibe of being slightly off, without being obviously wrong either. The figure was making sounds, but we couldn't make out exactly what was being said, despite the fact that it seemed like we should be able to, given how far away they were. They were standing right on the edge of the light cast by the fire and some exterior yard lights. It seemed like the lights should have been enough for us to clearly see the figure, yet they were totally cast in shadows. They were holding something to their head as if they were talking on a cell phone, but no screen light illuminated their face. They were very tall. Not horror movie, this is definitely a monster tall, but one of the tallest people I had ever seen. We shouted to them asking who it was and what they wanted, but they did not respond. They stood there staring for another moment and then turned around and walked away. Two of my friends and I immediately grabbed heavy objects, a fire poker, a stick, and an empty wine bottle, which had already only had a tiny amount left when the night started, I promise, and ran after the figure. We came into the front yard and there was nobody in sight. I cannot emphasize enough how impossible this was. The front yard was wide open with a good view of the street. We would have been able to see them running away, heard a car, etc. And the forest was layered with dead leaves and dense enough underbrush that we would have heard them moving through it, yet we didn't hear a sound. We stationed one friend out front and another out back while the two of us circled the house, but there was absolutely no sign of our shadowy visitor. I'm going to point out a problem here with this story, with a mistake that they made, and that was they didn't check inside the house. That's what I would have done. I would have been like, oh, now I got to go through my entire house because this person may or may not have broken into my house while we were on the other side. You don't know. They finished with several hours later. After our friends had arrived, our neighbor, who was the town fire marshal, came into our yard, giving us all quite a fright. He promptly announced, "Hey, don't you know there's a burn ban?" We did not. We asked him if someone had called us in, hoping that it would partially explain our shadowy visitor. He responded with something along the lines of, "No, you idiots, I looked outside my kitchen window." Fair enough. I still think about this incident as I can neither wholly dismiss it as mundanely explainable, nor definitively say it was supernatural and spooky. I'm happy, though, to hear all of y'all's thoughts. So, what do we think?
I mean, I recently had a breaker on our street explode while I was outside, and I thought it was fireworks because then there were a bunch of green like flashing things, which I then realized after I started to see the sparks, I was like, oh no, something's on fire.
Yep.
So that was very spooky in like a disaster kind of way. But I'm trying to figure out like what would like make a figure appear at such a thing. I mean, it could just be like maybe it woke him up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like you were doing stuff, you were making some noise, you were burning something. I mean, ghosts hate when you burn their bones because it puts them in hell forever. Sure. I think. I don't remember. Something supernatural. The show, not the concept of supernatural. So yeah, I mean, maybe it was like and they wanted to like stop you from for some reason. Maybe they thought they were next, something like that.
Interesting. Amanda,
I'm thinking about what the figure was holding against their head as if they were talking on a cell phone. Some options here. Old-timey ear horn.
Okay.
maybe the ghost couldn't hear very well. Needed to hear your conversation a little bit better. Maybe it was just chilly and lonely and wanted to come toward the fire, hear a little bit of conversation. Other options. Maybe the ghost was their head was carved in twain, and they were holding one half back against the first half. Those were my two options, and that gives you a sense of where I'm at today.
Like the green ribbon.
Yep.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Did they say it was about the shape of a telephone? Maybe it was like a magical sending stone that they were using like a cell phone.
They specifically said they were holding something to their head as if they were talking on a cell phone, but no screen light illuminated their face.
Maybe they're like an old-timey ghost that doesn't know what a cell phone is. So they're imitating the current modern cell phone by just holding a rock. Maybe it's something along those lines.
Eric, that's good.
Now, Amanda, what you just did was you did the thing where it was the thumb and the pinky.
Yes.
And
I did the shaka, but no, they were like holding as if like a brick to their head or something.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is I just recently saw a video of like the difference between like Gen Z and millennials. And if you like ask a child nowadays to be like, oh, imitate a cell phone, or like, how do you show that you're like holding a phone? They just like kind of hold it to the full hand to their ear rather than the, receiver speaker situation.
The hang loose, but up to your head.
And that just made me think of that. So maybe this ghost, it was outdated and it was doing the old phone style.
Now, my go-to reaction emoji on Slack has recently become the hang loose.
Yes.
Because I've moved away. I feel like thumbs up people are starting to think is like aggressive at times. So I've left like hang loose. You can't interpret hang loose as aggressive in any way. Hopefully,
I'm hanging loose, baby. There's no aggression there.
Exactly. I'm just like, hell, you guys recorded the thing, hanging loose. Thank you for letting me know.
Tight.
But now I'm realizing someone might be thinking this, like, why is Eric always using the telephone emoji?
The call me emoji.
And it's because you're like, hey, I want you to know that I am a mid-age millennial.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
There you go. Now you know.
And that's important to know. I gotta be honest, Julia, I don't have any bad vibes from this ghost. I think they are this apparition, this shadow. They stand near the fire. The people got excited. It's a nice story that the family can, the friend group can tell each other. And they learned about the burn ban. And so nobody started a forest fire. So, no notes here.
Here is my logical explanation. I don't think that they're entirely off. I think that probably it was someone who's walking down the street, saw smoke, called the fire department, and then went to investigate, saw that it was just a bunch of kids like drinking around a fire, and then was like, actually, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to like let them get back to what they were doing, and then walks away.
Yeah. Also, they seemed like they were a normal tall.
Yes.
Because they were tall, but not like spooky tall.
Monster tall.
So that also helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their arm didn't extend like from the foot of the bed all the way to the edge of the bed and then up toward the lamp. So we're good there.
I hate it.
Their legs, unclear if hairy or not.
That's fine. TBD.
So we'll get to the second half of Eric's email, but first, how about we go and grab a refill?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Hey, this is Julia, and welcome to The Refill. Of course, we have to start out by thanking our amazing patrons, starting with our producer-level patrons, Alicia, Ann, Brittany, Fruity Chick, Hannah, Jack Marie, Jane, Nieselkins, Lily, Matthew, Megan Moon, Nathan, Phil Fresh, Rico Like, Captain Jonathan Malachi Cosmos, Sarah, Scott, and Zazie, and of course, our legend-level patrons, Ariana, Audra, Bex, Chibi Yokai, Morgan, Sarah, Schmitty, and Beam Me Up Scotty. If you would like to join the Patreon and get some awesome rewards like cocktail recipe cards, both cocktails and mocktails, bonus Urban Legends episodes, and so much more, head to patreon.com/spiritspodcast to join today for as little as $4 a month. You don't want to miss out. We have some great content there. Speaking of great content, this is the part where I get to tell you about something that I have been loving lately, and I'll admit, I slept on this for a little bit. Many people recommended it to me, and I finally sat down to watch it on HBO Max, and it is BBC's Ghosts. And man, I got a lot of feelings about these ghosts. I haven't felt this way in a long, long time watching a TV show. I love them. They're funny. They're an eclectic crew, and they're great. Check it out, BBC's Ghosts. If you have BBC America, I think you could probably watch it on that. HBO Max has it. BBC's Ghosts. It's great. I'm also here to tell you about one of our sister shows here on the Multitude Collective, and that is Tell Me About It. Tell Me About It is a madcap game show about proving that the things that you like are actually interesting. It is hosted by one of my favorite podcasters of all time, Adal Rifai from Hello from the Magic Tavern and Hey Riddle Riddle, and of course our own Eric Silver. So Adal is basically an eccentric billionaire who has wrangled his audio butler Eric to prove that the single most interesting and cool thing ever is the movie musical Grease. You know, like with John Travolta and stuff. Sandy? Yeah, that one. In every episode, a guest comes on to share and defend their favorite thing through a series of absurd games and challenges. Most recently, Amanda was on an episode saying that retirement plans are the greatest thing of all time, and you can imagine that is a fun and wild ride. It is hilarious. I've never laughed so hard about retirement plans before. You can check out the episodes now, and there are new episodes every other Thursday. Tell Me About It. It is the most fun podcast run by a multi-billionaire. And that's saying something. And now let's hear from our sponsors. Listen, it's officially springtime now. I don't have to crawl under my blankets and hide like a little freezing cold bunny anymore, because now everything is fresh and new, including my newest Brooklinen sheets. Brooklinen has those home essentials that will help you step up your space and step into a new season. They make the sheets that drive both us and the internet wild, and they have been keeping people comfy ever since they showed up on the scene. They use only the highest quality materials in their products, such as long staple cotton, so everything Brooklinen creates is built to last. So if you're looking to elevate your space or your rest and relaxation style, Brooklinen's got bundles that puts together everything you need in one place. They have options for bed, bath, or both, and even better, when you bundle, you save 25% off. I have a Brooklinen robe. I have the Brooklinen sheets on both my bed and our guest bed. That's how much I love these sheets. And I just love how cozy and buttery soft they are to sleep in. And they're super breathable. So as the weather starts to get a little warmer and I'm not quite ready to turn my AC on yet, they are always the perfect temperature. So shop in store or at brooklinen.com for a home refresh at its best. For a limited time, get $20 off plus free shipping on orders of $100 or more with code SPIRITS. That's BROOKLINEN.com/spirits for $20 off. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And listen, I am recording this after just getting off a call with my therapist. And the idea of being able to have a therapy session from the comfort of my own home without having to go to a secondary location or sit in a waiting room or anything like that has honestly really improved my mental health. I started using online therapy when the pandemic started, and it has just kind of followed me through my life and moving, and not having to switch a therapist when I moved and not having to drive over an hour has been wonderful. And I think that you will find that therapy is a wonderful way to talk out your problems and your concerns and deepen your self-awareness and understanding. And BetterHelp can connect you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. I know that I have really benefited from therapy, and it is an experience that I always recommend for other people, especially when they are going through a hard time. And even when you're not going through a hard time, therapy can help you check in with yourself and make sure that you are the best version of yourself. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get started with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/spirits today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/spirits. Listen, ever since I have dyed my hair, which if you haven't seen pictures of me lately, I have really cool, beautiful blue hair, and I really want to take care of it because it is an investment. It is an investment in time, it's an investment in money, and I want to make sure that it looks the best it possibly can. And I have been really relying on our newest sponsor, Kish, to make sure that my hair care is on that next level. Kitsch is creating game-changing essentials beauty enthusiasts swear by. They have stuff like satin pillows to make sure sure that your hair doesn't get frizzy at night. They have rice water shampoos that actually can help with overall hair growth and density. And my personal favorite, the rosemary scalp oil that helps support scalp health and hair strength from root to tip. A lot of times when you dye your hair, they're like, oh, dyeing your hair weakens your hair. But I've been using this rosemary scalp oil and my hair has looked stronger and healthier than ever. I absolutely love it. Kitsch also has some amazing bestsellers like satin pillowcases, caps, and eye masks, and they are so great for your hair and skin while you sleep. And they're heatless satin curling rollers. Say bye-bye to heat damage. These are the original, the OG, and still the best heatless curlers. Don't settle for knockoffs. Get the ones that actually started the craze. And right now, Kitsch is offering you 30% off your entire order at mykitsch.com/spirits. That's right, 30% off anything and everything at mykitsch, spelled mykitsch.com/spirits. One more time, mykitsch.com/spirits for 30% off your order. And now, let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, and I asked myself as we were taking our little break, what I've been drinking lately, and also what's going on with my life. And the answer is wine.
Nice.
What kind of wines do you go for, Julia? You have more wine knowledge than me, so you probably don't do what I do, which is pick a cool label.
I am currently on more of like a Cabernet Sauvignon kind of kick right now, which is like fine. I'm excited for it to be closer to summer so I can go back to my rosé all day situation. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. You know, that's all I want in my life.
I like it.
Now, would you say rosé all day?
Rosé all day.
Okay, just making sure.
If it's the weekend, Eric, rosé all day.
Okay.
I'm at the beach, rosé all day.
We picked up an orange wine recently, which I keep reading about what that means vis-a-vis the grape skins and the wine, and it just deletes itself from my brain every time. But I am certainly enjoying it. It tastes great and looks cool.
Yeah, it's white wine, but they keep the skins on.
There you are. Thank you.
I got you.
We won't go into a wild tangent, but the newest season of Top Chef has recently started, which I assume Amanda is watching along with me.
Oh, yeah. I showed Julia an episode when we were at PAX East, by the way.
Yes, that's true.
Ooh, nice. I will never not think of the iconic season 1 moment where there was a sommelier on the show because they didn't know what the show was yet.
For some reason.
And he said, a rosé, this is quite rare. And I will never not be able to...
It was 2008, Eric.
It was a long time ago, and rosés were not popular, but I will never not think of rosé and not be like, oh yeah, there was a point in history where it was like, this is quite classy and quite rare. No one is drinking these. This is the sophisticated choice.
That's true.
Yeah, very good. For me, I've led in with this before, and I'll do it again. I've been trying all of the Westward whiskeys.
Yeah.
I have tried, and honestly, perfect alley-oop you've given me here. They're Pinot cask whiskey.
Ooh.
So it's whiskey that is aged in a wine barrel, and it's quite good. I do think that the stout beats out that and the traditional, but I would say it just by a little bit, because the stout and the Pinot cask both have really, really complex flavors and are very good. So I'm kind of drinking wine, but in the loosest sense.
There you go.
You're drinking wine adjacent, and I appreciate that for you.
I'm drinking a whiskey pour that has some wine notes in it. I want to be very clear. I'm not pouring a wine glass of whiskey.
I would be so curious.
I keep saying I'm drinking less whiskey, guys. I'm drinking less. And I just mean I'm having one glass, but it is about 4 glasses of whiskey. It's just a wide pour of whiskey.
We check in on you every month or so to see. So if you're going through a bottle a month, Eric, we're not judging you. That's fine.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's the move of a 20-year-old who doesn't know what it's like to wake up dehydrated just from the house you're staying in.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. So I have Eric's second half of the email, which is the haunted sea captain's house.
Nothing could be more Julia.
That's true. My second story happened when I was staying over at a friend's house way down east. For those of you who don't know, down east is the east/northeast most part of the Maine coast, beyond Acadia National Park to the Canadian border. The name comes from the days of significant sailing trade between Boston, Portland, and Penobscot Bay in Maine, with St. John's, Yarmouth, and Halifax in maritime Canada. From Boston to St. John, you sail downwind on the prevailing winds, heading east, thus down east. I desperately want nautical music to play as I describe this. That's just me.
Well, good news. I have forgotten to cancel the subscription for the sound effect from It's Norse, of course. So I'll just take that one out the chin for that $15 and I'll download you some nautical music, Julia.
Hell yeah, dude.
Excellent. Thank you. This is also why folks from Maine and New Hampshire say they're going up or shopping up to Boston, because old-timey sailors would be sailing upwind on the return trip. Ah, etymology.
Genuinely very helpful.
Moving on, my friend's house is a large old captain's mansion from at least the 1800s, maybe earlier. I've never looked into the exact history. In order to get there, I actually needed to take a water taxi from the tourist town of Bar Harbor, Bahaba, to the town dock, and then be driven up to the mansion. I, for one, felt like I was in a Regency novel. Everything started off normal. My friend M and her sister J and their dad picked me up, and we had a fun day skateboarding and goofing around in their driveway. Shortly before dinner, we decided to bring my bag up to the guest room. I must emphasize how Austinian this house feels, especially the upstairs. There are oil paintings, mostly portraits and seascapes, on many of the walls, and the lamps are all gas lamps converted to electric. Again, this sounds like a dream for me. I'm having a great time. The stairs up are an ornate open banister, at the top of which you can turn back down a long hallway, which is open so that you can look down into the foyer. We entered the guest bedroom, and the moment I cross the threshold, I get a vibe which I can only describe as, nope. I was simply not allowed to sleep in this room. Something was telling me with the utmost certainty I could not sleep in this room. I let M and J know, a little freaked out and a little embarrassed for causing such a fuss. Which, imagine you were, visiting your friend's house and they're like, all right, let me bring your bag up to the guest bedroom. And you step into that guest bedroom and you simply say, I cannot sleep here.
Julia, you know what? If you were the person hosting me, you'd be like, I get it. No questions.
I get it. We have a nice futon and the couch pulls out. Which would you prefer?
Yep.
So they gave each other a look, which I took to mean, why is he being so weird? And then Emma hesitantly suggested that I could stay in the other smaller guest room if I wanted. I said that sounded good and thanked them and apologized for being, a weirdo. We went to the other guest bedroom at the far end of the hall. It had an oil painting of a young girl in it, which was creepy purely because movies have conditioned us to be creeped out by young girls, but not for any additional reason. I was still a little freaked out and didn't feel totally comfortable here either, but I figured it was just residual from the strange experience I had just had in the other room. I certainly felt better in this room. We went downstairs and played cards while her parents cooked dinner, which was a delicious lasagna if I remember correctly, and slowly my feelings of discomfort subsided. At dinner, Em mentioned that I was going to be sleeping in the smaller guest bedroom, to which her father gave her a strange, questioning look, but made no further comment. You know the look that actors give in movies to signal to the audience that something suspicious is afoot, but we will learn exactly what approximately 30 minutes from now? It was that look! I was slightly confused, but the conversation moved on quickly, and I decided to just roll with it. That night, I had a little bit of trouble falling asleep, but thought nothing more of it and had an essentially uneventful night. The next morning over cereal, Em and Jay asked me how I slept with a strange sort of nervous hesitance. Fine, I told them. They both visibly relaxed immediately. They were worried, they went on to explain, because the reaction I had had to the first guest bedroom was exactly the reaction guests usually have to the smaller one that I slept in. It was so bad that they essentially don't use that room in the house. The family has never felt the do not enter vibes, but the girls were all a little creeped out by the small guest bedroom and made their mom do all the cleaning in there. Which, division of labor, feminism, blah, blah, blah. They had tried to put me in the first larger guest bedroom in the first place because it seems to be the most comforting, quote, safe room for guests. They also proceeded to tell me about their house ghost, which they had previously never mentioned.
Oh, sure.
Again, if your house is haunted and you're inviting guests over, you have to let them know. You have to let them know.
You gotta.
That's just polite.
It's just polite. It's good hospitality, you know? Anyway. The ghost had been seen by all 4 children in the family. They have an older and younger sister who aren't in this story in exactly 3 places. Place 1, the rocking chair in the living room. Place 2, walking down the upstairs hallway into the small guest room, always seen from the downstairs foyer or the foot of the stairs. Place 3, the first half of the narrow staircase which leads to the attic, always going up and always seen from the hallway. Eric, I'm looking at you and your narrow staircase that leads to your attic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a narrow staircase. It's a normal width staircase, I'll have you know.
Okay.
It is. It's literally directly above the main staircase and is the exact same width.
All right.
It is a completely normal staircase.
I'll allow it. So the ghost appears as an elderly man wearing nondescript slacks and a collared shirt and some sort of coat or vest, which seems contemporaneous to the early 1800s. But we were high schoolers and Regency fashion was not our particular nerdy fixation, so I can't give you more details. The ghost has never given anyone scary vibes other than the initial surprise of seeing him out of the corner of your eye. He does not give a guardian spirit kindly type of vibe either, however, more like a grumpy neighbor who will tolerate you and you just have to tolerate him as well. No one has been able to explain why that particular room is off limits or why the opposite was true for me, but it was an undeniably creepy experience. I hung out there the rest of the day, then took the evening ferry back to the less haunted parts of the world, staring cinematically into the sunset. That's all I have for now, but the only other story I can think of at the moment is the one time God called me an asshole on my way into the shul, which, as a reform-ish agnostic, was very surprising. But if I think of any others, I will let you know. By the way, I'm a kayak guide in the Portland area. If you ever are visiting and want to come out for a paddle, see some seals, or explore a cool old fort where canonically no one has died, I'd be happy to take the Spirits team out on a trip.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, now I will be near Portland this summer, so perhaps I will do that. I went on a boat that seemed to go right past an old fort, so maybe that was the same fort.
There you go. Canonically, no one's died there, Eric. So you can go on a nice kayaking trip with this other Eric and have a great time.
Just two Erics kayaking up to a completely deathless fort.
Makes sense, and it checks out.
Yeah. I just want to add, the stairs to my basement are also of a normal width.
Okay, bud.
I believe you. We're joshing you.
All the stairs in the house are completely normal.
You have a real the gentleman doth protest too much instance here about your staircases.
That's fine.
Okay.
My staircase in my apartment, too narrow. And the one that goes up to the roof, even narrower, even worse.
That's
so,
true.
You do have I'm impressed how much stuff you got up that staircase. Because I was like, this is pretty small. Even for like New York, it was pretty small.
Yeah.
No, it is. Well, folks, let's close this out with a brief hometown logical haunting.
Ooh.
This is called The Logical Haunting of the Creepy Toy from Betty, she, her.
Okay. All right. Hit me with it.
Betty writes, after a difficult semester of being both a teacher and a grad student, I am finally getting caught up on Spirits episodes from fall 2022. I recently listened to the Logical Explanation episode, which reminded me of my own story. It was Christmas Eve, 1996. My father descends the stairs of our haunted house. You read about it in episode 150.
Ooh, it's been a while then.
He enters the basement to gather the Christmas gifts for my brother and I. He turns on the lights and hears a disembodied voice saying, "Peekaboo."
Uh-oh.
Now, I shared with you all yesterday that during a very stormy and eerie afternoon in the studio, I hear from the open window floating on the breeze, the wheels on the bus go round and round. And I promptly shut the window and it was terrifying.
Yep.
So that's what I've got in my brain right now. Scared shitless, he ran upstairs to grab his shotgun and came back down to the basement.
Uh-oh.
Seeing nothing, he moved further in, turning on the next light. He heard it again. Peekaboo.
Okay, hold up real quick. Let's talk about...
Like gun safety?
Yes, gun safety. Let's talk about home invasion and how if you hear the phrase peekaboo in probably a sing-song child's voice,
not being home invaded.
That's not what's
it's
happening.
probably not home invasion.
Yeah, we just saw that Knock at the Cabin movie with big old Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
No one said peekaboo in that movie as far as I can recall.
Yeah.
That movie, it's a trip. It's a tight 90 and it ain't that bad.
There's a great queer movie podcast episode on that movie if you don't mind being spoiled. Not that it's really a twist in that movie all that much for an M. Night Shyamalan, but...
Honestly, the twist, because the setup is pretty immediate, the twist is kind of like, is the twist this way or that way? Because you know it's going to twist, but you're like, I don't know which way it's twisting.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's just tension. So, of course, guys, this does not end sadly, and America should ban guns, as far as I'm concerned. He turned and faced what was responsible. Tycho's Playtime Big Bird, released in 1996 with features such as This Little Piggy Went to Market and Patty Cake, activated by pressing the toes, and then in parentheses, Betty wrote bird claws and hands wings, respectively. The final feature is a motion and light activated sensor on Big Bird's forehead that triggers him to say peekaboo.
Yep.
Thankfully, Big Bird was not shot that night, and my 3-year-old self received a fun, creepy toy. Many years later, when I was in maybe 4th or 5th grade, I was going through my old toy box to donate toys I didn't play with anymore.
Great.
When I, too, heard peekaboo. Now, what I want to know, guys, is why my makeup mirror, I have a little makeup mirror with a ring light on it, why it runs out of battery fucking every 5 days when I use it for 5 minutes a day, when these toys from the early 90s would have batteries a decade later that still work.
There's a word for that, Amanda. I'm forgetting what it is, but it's
planned obsolescence, yes. Julia, is what it is.
I mean, it's probably that for some reason your ring light has a microchip in it, and all of these old things were just like a tape cassette with the smallest sensor in them.
I know.
Just very quickly before we wrap up, Jake recently got a new phone because his phone of over a decade finally died.
Big Jake vibes.
He fully had it. I think he got it the year we started college, or the year after the year we graduated high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it even a smartphone?
Yes, it was. It was a Samsung Galaxy.
One?
Probably.
But I think you accessed the internet via an app. Was that right, Julia? Like it was that era of smartphone, or not quite?
I couldn't possibly say. I very rarely enjoyed using his phone. But he brought it to the store, and the reason it died wasn't just because it died. It's because he dropped it in a hot tub.
Sure.
So the guy looked at the phone. He's like, this still fucking worked? And Jake's like, yeah, it was a good phone. I mean, it was a little slow, but and the guy's like, man, they don't make them like they used to. And now that's what I think of every time I think of that. I'm just like, yeah, they don't make them like they used to.
Wow.
Well, they no longer make them like they used to for Playtime Big Bird, which I am dropping a link in chat. About halfway through the video I just posted, you too can hear the peekaboo.
Oh, boy.
And don't worry, we will link this for patrons.
I wouldn't think that there was a home intruder if I heard peekaboo.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, that was too melodic. Thank you, Betty, for the scaring right there.
Well, next time you hear peekaboo in your basement, remember, stay creepy.
Stay cool. Spirits was created by Amanda McLaughlin, Julia Schifini, and Eric Schneider, with music by Kevin MacLeod and visual design by Allison Wakeman.
Keep up with all things creepy and cool by following us at Spirits Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. We also have all of our episode transcripts, guest appearances, and merch on our website, as well as a form to send us in your urban legends and your advice from folklore questions at spiritspodcast.com.
Join our member community on Patreon, patreon.com/spiritspodcast, for all kinds of behind-the-scenes goodies. Just $1 gets you access to audio extras with so much more, like recipe cards, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, for every single episode, director's commentaries, real physical gifts, and more.
We are a founding member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. If you like Spirits, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
Above all else, if you liked what you heard today, please text one friend about us. That's the very best way to help keep us growing.
Thanks for listening to Spirits. We'll see you next week.
Bye.